Welcome to the Movie Vault. I'm Ben.
I'm sorry.
No, you're Zach.
That did not work out as fast as I thought. I'm Zach.
He didn't think about the logistics of the clapper and where it would go. But Movie Vault's return to video is starting, so everyone get really excited because we're leveling up, and we hope you're leveling up with us. We also have Trestle with us here today. Say hi, Trestle.
Hi, Trestle.
Trestle is not on the video, but maybe one day we'll have a camera over here that points to Trestle.
There you go.
Arguably the most attractive Last Resort Network affluent affiliated member, I guess I should say, is not on camera. So,
Which one of us is from a family that's most like Benjamin Bratton's family? I'm asking who comes from the richest family. Okay, we don't have to answer that question. But the point of this is that The Graduate is a movie that is set in suburban Los Angeles, and it stars Dustin Hoffman as Benjamin Bratton, who lives in a very affluent family. He went to school on the East Coast, which is a sign of that you're smart. He ran cross country. Don't know any other Bens who ran cross country.
What does that say about West Coast people?
Yeah, and he has come back, and now he is going to enjoy the fruits of his labor by lounging around in his parents' pool. So as you know, we've been doing the 7 Deadly Sins arc, and this week is the sin of lust.
Whoa.
So that's a big one.
The other ones aren't big? Is that
no,
what
the
you're
other
saying?
ones are not that serious. This one's serious. But Benjamin Bratton, we'll get into his lustful doings and outings, but it doesn't all stem out of lust with Benjamin for sure. There's multiple other things going on here. What had you heard of the Graduate? Did you know about this movie?
I heard it was in the Criterion Collection, and I heard that it was Dustin Hoffman's big breakout film. Other than that, I knew nothing. Nothing at all.
You hadn't heard this as like referenced as being like an important movie or anything like that?
No, I did.
I mean, yeah, it's in the Criterion.
In the Criterion.
Yeah.
But I knew it was important.
Okay.
Yeah. But the first time I watched it was last night.
Trestle, had you heard of this movie?
I had never even heard of it.
Okay.
No. But I'm way less into that world as you guys are. So.
The waste of money Criterion world.
Yeah, I always like to, just assess, because to me, The Graduate, that's a movie I've always since I started paying attention to movies, it's one you hear about, but doesn't mean that it's always remembered by the broader culture.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I can see why it was popular, because it seemed to be like an envelope-pushing movie for the 67 year.
Yeah, and 1967 was the big envelope-pushing year.
Yes.
Because there was this movie, Bonnie and Clyde, of course.
Yep.
And then that would lead into stuff like Midnight Cowboy, which Dustin Hoffman, I believe, was also in.
I told you Trestle, he would bring that up.
Which, funny enough, for as much as I talk about Midnight Cowboy, I've never actually watched the movie.
What, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it is on TV. It's so referenced as this groundbreaking, controversial movie. And again, a lot of these controversial movies, because of how the culture's gone and how things are gone now, they're not nearly as controversial as they were at the time that they were released, but they were definitely pushing the envelope. And that was part of the goal of these movies, although they were still trying to make points, but part of it was just to be like, hey, we can make movies about this now. We'll get more into that. Trestle, do you have our question of the day?
I do have your question of the day. So guys, if you could erase one movie from your memory and rewatch it for the first time, which would it be? And why?
Wow. There Will Be Blood.
You stole my answer. That I was going to say There Will Be Blood.
I think that was the most difference in my before to after, I don't know, dopamine.
I have one that I think would be really interesting to rewatch for the first time again. That's Inland Empire. Although I think the problem with saying Inland Empire is it feels like a movie that when you watch it the second time, it'll still feel like you're watching it the first time.
No.
So.
I very much disagree. I think that's an opposite film where putting in the work really pays off on that film. So
Yeah,
I don't
you're
want the early work to be
You're
what
right.
I'm constantly, referring to.
That's a good point.
But maybe that first initial state, like almost
It's
like
just
state
like-
of confusion.
yeah, the
and-
state of confusion and like awe and just like what is going on.
Yeah, just this perplex. Like I have no idea what's going on at all. Like not even conceptually, nothing. Right? Some movies are conceptually out there, and you can grasp onto some ideas. With Inland Empire, nothing. There's actors, they're cursed. What? And then after that, it's kind of like, you rewatch it 2 or 3 times, and you're like, this is the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah.
Is that the There Will Be Blood for the movie vault?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Well, I'm sorry, I took clearly the best answer.
Yeah, it's okay.
What about? Do you have
can
one?
be the best.
I need to think of answers to my own questions.
No, you're good. You're good.
It's a really good
Cars.
question. That makes it hard to answer though, because you don't want to say the wrong. You don't want to say something stupid.
Yeah.
I feel like I would do a movie that I didn't appreciate while I was watching it. Like I turn it on while doing homework or something, and I would turn it on, turn off the lights, pay full attention to it. Maybe like Interstellar, the first time I watched that.
Yeah.
Just because, again, I haven't watched that many movies, so that's one of like the big ones that got me into watching movies.
Yeah.
But I was doing homework when I first started it, so
Oh, that's a good gateway drug one.
yeah. And I haven't rewatched it yet, but I hope to in theaters when it re-releases sometime.
Yeah. Do you think they'll do that before Odyssey comes
It
out?
would be awesome if they did like all of the Nolan movies
That would be cool.
leading into
Memento and IMAX.
yeah. See following in IMAX.
Yeah, Following would be a crazy one.
Yeah.
They filmed that in like VHS.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. I'm sorry. VHS is a storage media type.
Well, yeah, it was definitely lower quality film than
They filmed it on
Yeah.
whatever the one where you hold it. Sorry for my non-video people.
Well, let's get into you guys rating the film, and then
Okay.
we'll break it down some more.
Okay. Do you remember yours?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
We're good.
And do it on the count of 3.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
3.
4.
Okay.
We're 1 star off again.
Yeah. Well, this just shows that you rate it higher. I think I had a higher. I didn't even go back and look at what my old rating of this movie was, but I think I have a higher opinion of it on my second watch than I
Really?
did on my first watch.
I think I really appreciated a lot of things in this movie. The movie's not for me. I didn't enjoy it at all. I thought the ending was so stupid. I know it's a famous ending, and I know that people like really cling on to that as being like a really cool thing. I didn't. He's just clamming on the door, on the window, ruining the wedding, and they just run off. Like that was to me utterly atrocious.
There's a lot of things about this movie that don't make a lot of sense. I think the ending is one of them, but I think just in terms of the filmmaking style and how much Dustin Hoffman changed the perception of what you can do as a lead man.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have to read this movie for what it is, I guess, but if you watch it, it's just kind of this like weird, maybe cautionary tale. It's definitely like it's a very funny movie, but it's also like really sad. So if you get like drawn into the sad part more than the funny part, then
Yeah.
like it's definitely a more depressing.
Tress, it was
You can have a
labeled.
more depressing outlook on it.
Yeah. Wasn't it labeled as a rom-com though?
It was. So on Wikipedia, it said that they produced as a rom-com. On what you said, some people think this movie's a satire. Would you agree with that?
It's definitely more of a satire than it's not a rom-com. I mean, like if you're laughing at this stuff, like genuinely, it's like very sad
Guilty as
situations in
charged.
people's lives. Now, of course, like the whole idea of like a dark comedy, I don't know how much those were really a thing in the American cinemas in the late 1950s, like a dark comedy, like the idea that you are laughing at these things that are happening in people's lives that are like sad and kind of messed up.
Yeah.
I
I will say though. Well, hold on. Sorry, I have to disagree slightly, just slightly, because I think there was one scene at the beginning where she's clearly seducing him. He is like on borderline. Is this happening? Is this not? And the music in the background was so whimsical, and I thought just took me out of the movie somewhat.
Before that scene even came to completion, you turned to me and said, this music is making it sound like it's going to be punchlines and jokes.
I felt like it was supposed to be comedy. Yeah, that's right. And then it just wasn't comedy. And I was like, this must be a dark comedy.
Yeah.
And labeling it as a rom-com is just a terrible That's terrible.
That's like tricking people into watching it.
No, this is
Not very
not
romantic.
it. No, it's not. This guy's dating the mother and the daughter. The mother and the daughter. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a rom-com. That's disgusting. And both of them know about it. So it's just like, I don't...
Yeah.
This movie, I'm sorry, it just wasn't exactly for me, I think. It was funny in some parts. And I loved the shots. Did you notice, like, a lot of times it would come from his eye perspective, some inappropriate parts, but then other times it would come from his perspective, like in the pool or at the wedding, or it would just like switch perspectives automatically to kind of give you an insight. And
there was like flash cuts and things, and a lot of stuff that was taken from like the French New Wave. Like, this is a very French-inspired, European-inspired movie.
Explain a little bit more about that.
So, some of the plot points, you could say, like the whole idea that he's dating the mom and then he dates the daughter, that definitely seems like a more European-style kind of comedy where it's just it's just more about it's boundary pushing. That's what they like to do in Europe at this time. But as far as the cinematography, like if you go back and watch like Breathless or the 400 Blows, they had this very like almost documentary style of filming with lots of quick cuts, and you saw those. And there were some like triple cuts in here where it would like cut and then like cut back and then cut and cut back again. And a lot of these filmmakers started out as either film critics or they started filming documentaries and then they started making movies. So then when they're making movies, they're more like they're trying to use the camera as like grounding you in their reality, but also they're kind of doing tricks too at the same time. So,
I found that to be true. I think you're right about that, because I think there were so many shots dialogueless that were just prolonged of either him just laying in bed staring at the wall, or him underwater, or him, just honestly walking in one part. There was like a 3-minute sequence of him driving in the car and then going to the college campus. 3 minutes. By the way, the soundtrack repetition, we can get to that, but it's just like playing the songs. Yeah. Hello, darkness, my own. It's just like there's a lot of interesting choices that I think made this movie pretty famous.
Yeah.
And just it stood out and it pushed boundaries. I don't know. Listen, I think Dustin Hoffman did awesome. I don't know if it does more than just push boundaries.
Really? Well, so I think, like, when you think of the comedy, what I noticed this time, so we'll touch on the plot a little bit just to give everyone a little synopsis. So Benjamin Bratton comes back from college, as we had mentioned. His family throws a big party. At the party, Mrs. Robinson, one of his parents' friends, pretty obviously is trying to, I don't know, come up with some sort of arrangement with him. But he doesn't, he's pretty new to this sort of dynamic, shall we say. So for the first 20 minutes of the movie, he's not really, he thinks it's weird what she's doing, but he doesn't really see what she's doing. And I was listening to another podcast that pointed out that she's definitely like on the hunt, and she's a lot of times portrayed as wearing like animal skin clothing, things like that. So there's this very like, I'm hunting, a little bit predatory. Although like from a technical standpoint, you'd say, he has graduated from college, so he has to be responsible for his decisions too. But she definitely has a little bit more of psychological knowledge.
Yeah, coming from being his teacher his whole life, she said, like, I've known you your whole life, basically.
Yeah, I think it was said briefly, but her husband is like business partners with his dad. So that's their connection together. So their families have known each other. A lot of the comedy comes from, so she gets Benjamin to drive him home, her home, I should say, in his new car, which is very cool. And then there's a lot of this like really awkward interaction. Benjamin is he's such a loser. Okay. We just have to point that out. He's so apathetic. He has no, like, he doesn't know where he's going. He's having this he's basically having a midlife crisis right after college.
Yep.
He doesn't stand for anything.
Yeah.
He has no reason that he's kind of realizing, well, my parents gave me all this stuff. I don't know what it means. I kind of just like not doing anything. It's a little bit slothful kind of like Peter Gibbons in our last episode from Office Space, but in a different sort of way. Because differently than Peter, it's not just that he's motivated in the wrong way, or like he could be motivated. I don't think Benjamin could be motivated at all.
Sure.
At this point, at this stage in his life.
Yeah.
And so he's very vulnerable to the advances of Mrs. Robinson, who makes her intentions very clear in her daughter's room, which is an interesting, like, subliminal context of, like, why was she trying to seduce Benjamin in her own daughter's room. There's some really messed up things going on with Mrs. Robinson as well.
She's a broken woman.
She's alcoholic. We find out later she was in a shotgun wedding. She's not happy in her marriage at all. Probably hasn't been happy in her marriage for a long time. She could have done this with other young men. I mean, we don't know. But the
accusations are being thrown.
I'm just assuming that this may not be the first time that she's done this. Maybe not with someone as young as Benjamin.
Sure.
We don't know. But it seems like wasn't just like recently she's become unhappy in her marriage. This has been like an unhappy marriage for a long time.
She seems to be pretty coercive and good at it.
Yeah, and she's very confident in her coercion. And she's very honest. She's like, I'm an alcoholic. She knows where she's at. She just doesn't want to change.
It's the first step. Yeah.
The only thing that she does still kind of want the illusion of this like waspy lifestyle that she has. Because the one thing that you could say, she wasn't in a shotgun marriage, but she did end up with a very nice house and in a very good social status.
And that's what it's all about, right, Ben?
Yeah. So you're like, other shotgun marriages have gone far worse financially for people.
No, obviously, riches aside, she is in a terrible situation. So you kind of empathize with her somewhat in this film. Like,
yeah. They're both characters. Ben and her. Ben, you're supposed to empathize with because he's the main character. But as Tressel says, does he deserve being the good guy? And I would say no. Benjamin Bratton is not a good guy.
Oh, he's terrible.
He is arguably the villain in the movie. But I will say Mrs. Robinson is also not a good person.
Okay.
There's not really much defensible to say about her. Because just because you have things that go wrong in your life, you don't know how they go. It doesn't give you the reason. And she couldn't have known that he was going to be interested in her daughter, even though her husband, everyone's weirdly pushing that. So there's some like implication that in these like social circles, there's sort of like arranged, not arranged marriages, but like encouraged relationships, because they're always like, you should go take her out. Like, they're encouraging them to be around each other.
Yes,
strongly.
It's disgusting.
Specifically,
I had two thoughts when I watched this that remind me of two different properties that you have seen both of them. And Tressel, feel free to comment. First one is the hot topic, The Summer I Turned Pretty, where I'm thinking like, I hate all of these people. I want them all to end up single, work on themselves, and then come back into the picture.
And not date each other.
Yeah, especially the mother and the daughter, right? They should talk to each other and probably, but I understand if there's a fractured like marriage, a fractured, household, that's kind of hard to talk to your daughter. But at the same time, like, there's just so much stupidity and lack of care, and it's all just based on the primal desire of lust, and other things as well. So that's the first thing I thought of. I hate all three of the contenders in this. I'm on Team Bus, hit by a bus, right? That's my team for Summer I Turned Pretty. Team Bus, not Jared, not Conrad, Team Bus. So especially Belly, she needs to get hit by a bus in the movie when it comes out. So the other thing I thought about was Twin Peaks, because not just because of there's affairs with everyone. I thought of Twin Peaks because there's a little storyline where one of the daughters gets entangled in some things that are related to his father's mistress.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And I was like, oh, they're like, the closer they get in proximity, the father and the daughter, without realizing they're in these same circles that are, sleeping around. Like, it kind of gets really awkward. And I was like, this movie reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because it's disgusting. Although this is, like, more up front. This is more grotesque and disgusting. Because in Twin Peaks, when the father found out, he's disgusted by it. He runs away. But in this, it's like the mother and the daughter, they're still into it.
I mean, I don't know that you'd say they're into it, but it is interesting how Elaine doesn't see it as, like, eventually she does still run away with Ben. And how Ben never sees a problem with it, which I think it's very complex because you're like, why does he insist that he has to be like, if he could just accept that, like, well, Elaine was really nice, we did hit it off, but this is just never going to work out because I made a mistake. Like, that's how life works. You certain mistakes you make and it cuts things off from you. Like, in an ideal world, maybe things could have worked out, but they aren't going to work out. Elaine even says that. But then I guess she's being also forced basically into another shotgun marriage that her mom is like, and parents are kind of making her do. So it's like you see how life is going to repeat for Elaine, right? And Ben is like the escape from that, even though he's like the most messed up and it's the most shotgun relationship of any of them. But in her perspective, she's like, her options are either do the same thing her parents did, and she's gonna end up unhappy and otherwise move on with Ben, even though it's messed up. But she at least knows who Ben is,
For
right?
sure, yeah.
Like, he's revealed himself. He's been honest. He's like, this is what happened.
Yeah.
So I don't. Most people wouldn't be able to do that. I don't know why Elaine is like, and part of me thinks the end scene is like kind of a fantasy, or like the whole like reconnecting with Elaine is, but there's nothing in the movie that like portrays that it actually is a fantasy. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't happen. This is just because it's a movie that's happening.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I didn't think about him being some type of like chain breaker or generational cycle breaker. I think, but like he still sucks, and I hope he doesn't end up happy.
Like the option of going with him doesn't seem like it would make her life any better.
Yeah, and like what he was doing was completely selfish. Like, he had no right to be there at the end at the wedding.
Well, he's a very selfish person because he pretended to not be interested in Mrs. Robinson's proposition, but he very easily succumbed into it,
and you can
on his
kind of
own will, you know.
You can kind of understand though where he's coming from, because his parents, all they cared about was like his school and kind of how his image portrayed their image, right? And just kind of brought them success indirectly.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think there's a lot, and like they're showing him off at parties and his birthday with the swimsuit or the scuba diving thing.
And every time an issue would come up, he would say, how would this make my parents feel about me? He would never say like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. It was always my parents' image. They've done so much for me. Like,
yeah. So it's almost, he has no like concept of himself outside of his parents.
So he's like a baby when he breaks out of
this. So this is like his, like whether he wants it or not, this is like how he's like breaking out of his family. By basically making like a lot of mistakes so that they can't defend him.
So I thought it was pretty funny throughout the film, just his lack of social skills. I think.
Yeah. But was it lack of social skills with like Mrs. Robinson? I thought it was more just like nervousness. Like, he's so nervous.
There's nervousness, but he has that throughout most of the film.
That's true. He is kind of like awkward.
Yeah. He's like very direct and kind of isn't 100% sure in what he's doing.
Yeah.
Constantly.
But then how does he get Elaine to like, so he takes Elaine to this like strip club, which reminded me of a Taxi Driver, actually. But he was doing this intentionally to be like, I'm trying to get her to not like me. But then he makes her so upset that he has to be honest and is like, I'm doing this on purpose because I don't. Which, that should be a red flag, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, and she should have been able to tell that something was going on, because why would you, his initial comfort is like, well, I'm just doing this because my parents made me do it, which is not really more comforting. And so I don't know, like, it's just so strange.
There are a lot of red flags, obviously.
But the fact that was the way that he was like planning to get her to not like him is just bizarre. And I think it does speak to like lack of social skills, like taking things to the extremes. All the time. And I think the movie is ultimately supposed to be about like the dangers of this like apathetic existence. And like what it leads people into, and the fact that like this stuff is happening in these suburban circles and people just like don't talk about it, and it's like pushed under the
I
rug.
want to give a negative credit to Mr. Robinson. I know he's the victim in these specific circumstances that are happening in this film, but this is kind of all his fault in some ways. Like, he really isn't. leading his family at all.
No, he's not. He's such a plastic. You can tell he's just is like
Yeah.
he like acts upset when it all happens, but like
Yeah.
why? Like you're right. He has done nothing to like truly be
They
like
sleep
a
separate
family
rooms.
unit.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't. They're not acknowledging any issues that they have.
Mm.
Like that's part of it. Like you have to reach a point where you realize like, oh, we have some problems. Like she's an alcoholic, but I mean, maybe he has some problems too. We don't know.
Sure.
Because there's not a lot is revealed about him. But clearly they have marriage issues that they are just not.
Yeah.
Like instead of addressing them, they're doing things that are like you said, like sleeping in separate rooms. Like those things are like band-aids.
Yeah.
That
Well,
we're
not
existing
even,
together.
Yeah.
We're
they're-
not married.
Yeah, they're band-aids on open wounds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh yeah.
This is Ben. Go crazy with your music stuff on this episode because there's a lot here.
Yeah, Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel. I don't know how they got like roped into doing this exactly, but this was definitely their breakout in terms of like all of the songs that were played on here are like hits, like massive hits. Sound of Silence, Mrs. Robinson, Scarborough Fair. All those songs. Which how many are there? Like 4 or 5?
I think there was 5, like 4 with lyrics and 5 total, something like that. When I looked at the score while we were watching, or the
and they
soundtrack.
repeat some of them a couple times, which is an interesting This is an interesting idea to just be like we're picking one group, one artist, and we are just only using songs by them, and they're like newly released songs. So I don't know what the time frame was, but they released these songs on an album.
Yeah.
Around the time the movie was released.
So they made these songs for this movie and then released them. Was it a year later that we looked at?
Well, it was a few months, a month later, but
Okay.
it ended up being in the next calendar year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they released it as an album.
So
yeah.
So some of these songs were made kind of for the movie.
Mhm.
And I don't think this is typically how they did things, so it's definitely unique.
And they won a lot of awards. They received a Grammy for Record of the Year for Mrs. Robinson, which is obviously a big deal. I'm not sure how hard that would have been back then or how much competition there was, but
That wasn't even my favorite one.
I know.
Hello, darkness. That's the most that's the meme one.
Well,
right?
Sound of Silence is like probably now the most famous, but like Mrs. Robinson, Scarborough Fair, April Come She Will is definitely the one that is the least well known of the 4 songs. And then Dave Grusin did some instrumental songs, so they weren't the only musicians on this. But Simon and Garfunkel are a hugely influential, successful duo. Paul Simon went on to make more successful music on his own. You Should Call Me Al, stuff like that. But and Art Garfunkel, I think he maybe had one successful song after, but they were huge, and this caught them at the right time. So it's interesting when you have a director who's coming up, Mike Nichols. This was his second movie.
He's young.
An actor who's coming up, Dustin Hoffman, and a music group that is coming into popularity.
It was perfect
all
timing.
3 at the same time, and basically they all were successful because of each other. This was definitely a mutually beneficial for all 3, even though Dustin Hoffman would go on to not play characters like Benjamin Bratton.
No.
I mean, not in the sense that he would play like erratic, wild characters more than he would play like I don't know, the sort of awkward younger. I mean, he's older than the character he portrays in this movie, so there's some of that.
He kind of looks older.
We noticed that right away.
Took me out.
Yeah. I mean, he was like 29. He was supposed to be playing a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
So it definitely can take you out of the movie a little
People
bit.
did look older back then, typically.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Or that's how you think of it, at least.
Yeah.
Because I think they just didn't hire child actors like that back
So
then.
initially they wanted Robert Redford to play this part,
Huh.
which would have made a lot of sense in some ways. But based on the book, I guess, this guy in The Graduate was like a really attractive, conventionally attractive guy who was just aimless. But I don't think you could really believe that he was a loser was the issue they had with Robert Redford. Like the famous quote, I heard multiple people talk about it. Someone asked, like, Robert, has a girl ever turned you down? And he's like, what do you mean? Like, he had never had this like sort of like desperation where his only option was an alcoholic mom
You couldn't
unhappy
pity
in her
him.
marriage.
Yeah.
So you would just be like, this guy's a douche.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
I mean, you could kind of say about his character, about Dustin Hoffman's portrayal, but I think you just feel bad that he's a loser. You're just like, I think this guy has more potential, and he just is like not seeing it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
With what you said about how this was kind of the launching pad for everyone who worked on this film's careers, this film was made with a $3 million budget. It made almost $105 million, which at the time was insane. That's close to being $1 billion movie if you adjust it for inflation. Was this because the movie was so good at pushing the envelope for the movies at the time, or do you think that the general public related to it, like the aimless drifting of the time? This was right around the Vietnam War, civil rights era,
Hippies.
America. Yes, yeah.
I do think the envelope pushing probably helped. A lot of people, when they talk about film history, mention that like at this point Hollywood was kind of behind their audience, so like they were finally making movies that their audience like was intrigued by again. So like this movie, Bonnie and Clyde, came out later, were both like hugely successful because I think people were like, oh, these were the kind of movies that that are more, I don't know, they feel more authentic and real to the actual moment that is happening, which, you know, the sexual revolution is happening, Vietnam War, lots of controversial things are happening. So it makes sense that we have some controversial movies. And like I said, this one pushes the envelope. But like nowadays, maybe things push the envelope so much that we're like so hardened against
we're pretty
the
numb.
idea. Now with like Game of Thrones and like all of this stuff
Yeah.
out today, like some of these ideas are even like maybe a little bit tame, which is a little bit sad if you think about it broadly from a social standpoint, that like a movie like The Graduate would be considered like a pretty like tame movie in comparison to some of the stuff that comes out today, because a lot of the stuff that is more transgressive is like pretty quickly gone through and not as explicitly shown as maybe it would, which I think benefits the movie because it makes it not about that wholly. It makes it about other things, which I think, you know, some of those European movies that might have influenced might drift a little bit more into the now this becomes more of an erotic movie and maybe it loses its life as an actual, you know, work of art.
It speaks to that a lot, that you had to go to 1967 to find a movie that displays lust, where it's not an insane movie to use.
Where we're not like, you know, this is about lust, but what are we like truly learning? You know. If you know what I mean.
Any modern selection that would rightly show lust would be too explicit for a family-friendly podcast.
The sad part is you could probably pick anything.
There are lots of movies that deal with lust, and I'm sure we've dealt with movies that have, you know, pick any of the David Lynch movies we reviewed, and those are definitely more graphic. And we talked about that. We talked about like why we feel like they're still valuable as art, even if they do lean more into being a little bit more explicit in how they portray things and a little bit more violent. There's not really a lot of violence in the sense of like extreme violence in this movie, although there is some interpersonal violence in this movie with
he does wave across at them at the end.
With some of the debates at the end, and you see the real like tragedy and loss in this family when because this really does break their family apart. You see when he tells Elaine that he slept with her mom and she's right there, she's crying. That scene's like, it's just sad. It's just like, this is so sad. And then she ends up like kind of lying about what happened to her, which puts him in an awkward position. Like, I'm a bad guy, but I'm not that. I didn't do that. Like,
for sure.
Kind of situation.
What made you guys choose this movie for lust?
I think it was kind of because what you described. This movie, lust is only part of the complex things that are going on with these characters, but it certainly is at the primal root of this movie.
For sure.
It's like, I don't care about what anybody else feels what is right. I'm doing what feels good to me. That's what Dustin Hoffman's character is basically saying, and what Mrs. Robinson's character is kind of saying too. And they have to deal with the consequences of that, even though they try in their own ways to ignore and push aside the consequences. And I don't think we should think about this movie like Benjamin is rewarded for, like, that is the thing about the ending that maybe does take away from the film. Like, Zach says, like, the idea that he would be rewarded for this, but I imagine as the filmmaker, Mike Nichols is trying to come up with part of his goal is just to come up with the most interesting, exciting ending that he can sell to the audience.
Well, here's the thing, like, with the sexual revolution came a lot of, I don't know, maybe not great, but freedom, you know?
Yeah, and moral ambiguity. Like,
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to be left in the state of, like, who is right and wrong in this? Like, it pushes, everyone just seems so, like, they've made so many decisions that you're like, how can you agree with this, that you're not sure, like, at the end of the movie how you should feel about any of it.
Zach pointed that out.
Yeah.
At the end, he was like, everyone is just so stupid in this movie and their decisions.
Yeah, I think it's just a mess.
But in modern life, I think, like, a lot of this happens. Like, it doesn't happen always like this. And fortunately, it's not always someone sleeping with a mom and sleeping with a daughter. Hopefully that doesn't happen very often. That's a very disgusting thing, as we've said. But there's other types of things that happen that are
For sure.
very sad and mess with relation dynamics. And how do you help, like, people? It is easier to want to not acknowledge that these types of things happen in the world than to be like, well, these types of things happen. Like, how do you walk aside if it's someone in your family, if it's someone who you know, like, who this happens to, and you know they made a bad decision, but where do you go from there? Like, I don't know. So maybe the most beneficial thing, if this was any benefit to society, it was just that we're getting things out in the open. We're no longer hiding things anymore.
Just the Watergate scandal again.
But if your conclusion is, well, we should just make all of these things okay for culture, then that's probably not a good answer.
This movie certainly leaves that possibility.
It does
open.
leave it open. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Not for me. I'll just end like.
Not for me either. But
I wasn't implying that it was for you or for Tressel. I just think, like. I wasn't having fun.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's okay. If you can't overlook the things, then.
I did say several times, this is a beautiful shot, or like this shot. I like these cuts. These cuts are good. So I think some of the framing of it was great.
It did seem like anytime he did an impactful scene, he would linger for an extra 30 seconds on a shot with no dialogue and sometimes no instrumentals.
Yeah.
And it would just let you sit with what's going on in this suburban horror.
Yeah. Yeah. The shot that comes to mind is when they're at the drive-in with, like, the Sonic type thing, and it's just 30 seconds where you can't hear what they're saying. It's literally 30 seconds. You're just watching them eat. And it's like,
and they're having a conversation, but you don't know what they're saying.
And that's all the time
like it.
You get with them together to develop their characters before she finds out, and then they decide to run off
I know
together.
that's the thing that is not believable about the whole relationship with Elaine. He made such an impact on her in that brief date that she still wants to marry him at the end of the movie, despite everything.
Hey, you know,
that the hook
love
is
at
important.
first sight. You know,
The hook is important.
I don't know what else to say. Yeah, that is sad, unfortunately.
I like your suburban horror, like, idea. Like, maybe we should view this more as like wow, this is like scary almost. Like, that this is happening. There's a movie that came out in the late 80s called Society that was more specifically a suburban horror movie, and it involves I'm just gonna talk about it because nobody's gonna watch this movie. It's a really gross movie where this one son finds out the rest of his family is in, like, an orgy cult, and their bodies like meld together. It's like really weird body horror movie.
This is Rick and Morty,
and like very disgusting. But it's interesting, and I can't help but wonder whether, like, The Graduate, like, very minimally influenced, like, it was like if you take The Graduate and you take David Cronenberg, put them together, that's what you get with Society.
Something disgusting with something more
and a
disgusting.
little bit of conspiracy stuff in there too, with the idea of, like, secret societies, but it was, again, it's that WASP. I don't even know what that term means. I just know it means, like, rich upper middle class, like, families, kind of WASP, like, and of course Hollywood loves to make fun of people in those classes, even though a lot of times the people making the films are from those classes. So maybe it's a little bit of, like, self-reflection. I don't know, but
if you want to get some good commentary on Hollywood, go watch a lot of David Lynch's California trilogy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, not for me. But listen, I'm still glad I got to experience a piece of movie history that, although I don't love, is still exists, and is there. And I really like Dustin Hoffman. I think he did great in this.
Get into more of your highs and lows of the movie specifically.
I think like I said, the framing was really good, and Dustin Hoffman was great. I think the lows for me, besides the content, as I've said several times, is more like there were a lot of intentionally slow parts to this film where it took about 20 minutes for one plot piece to come through. And I don't think that the time spent to get to that point was well spent. Like, a lot of times you can sacrifice the plot moving forward for character development in like conversations, but a lot of the conversations, I think, between some of the characters didn't pay off at all.
Yeah. I think that's a big reason why people view it as a satire, because like Ben was saying last episode about Office Space, if it's a comedy or a satire, you don't have to have scenes that move the plot every time. Yeah. You can have little snippets that are funny.
Yeah. Almost like a sketch comedy sometimes.
Yeah.
Which, interestingly, I think Mike Nichols came out of sketch comedy, even though he did the Virginia Woolf movie before this, which was like a adaptation of a theatrical play, so very serious, like theater-based kind of thing. But so this was definitely like different. And I don't know who he convinced to produce it. I mean, I guess he didn't need a lot of money in comparison to be able to produce it. But
yeah. What about you, Ben? I know you like this movie a lot more than Zach, giving it 4 stars. What were some of your highs that you haven't mentioned yet?
So yeah, my favorite parts are definitely like the interactions between Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft. I think Anne Bancroft's performance as Mrs. Robinson was like, upon the second watching, I noticed like a lot more like the intentionality behind it, like the anger in her performance.
Yeah, she did well.
She seems depressed.
Well.
Like she's making these decisions, but she doesn't love them.
And she's so tactile, and this is so like transactional. Like, it's a different relationship the way Ben kind of wants things to be and what she wants things to be.
Yes.
And you can tell, I mean, it's going to end at some point, but like she's kind of just like, well, it happens, it's good. And that, but I don't know that she foresees her inability to control him after a while.
Yeah.
But she should have been able to see that.
Yeah.
But she can't, because he's just like, why do I have to play by these rules? Like, he's kind of pushing against. As soon as somebody puts or it's obvious to him that someone's trying to control him, that's when he pushes back, because he doesn't
as a reaction to his parents.
He doesn't like that everyone has been controlling him. This is the one thing that feels like it's been kind of his own doing and what he's decided to do.
And it took him a while. She said that they'd been doing it for months, and then he was finally like, hey, let's talk before we do it.
Yeah.
So.
And then I liked Mr. Robinson, Murray Hamilton, great performance. So yeah, a lot of the actors were just like really interesting and good in this movie. And then least favorite parts, you said the same song played 7 times in a 10-minute span. I actually didn't mind that. Like, I love Simon and Garfunkel and I love these songs, so I'm like, just keep playing them over and over.
I rolled my eyes.
I mean, it's a little gimmicky, but maybe that's more of a medium part.
It was just like they could have mixed it up a little. They would play the same songs. But here's the thing: they put them A B A B A B A B. See what I mean?
Yeah.
And sorry, A A B B C C D D is a better way to say it. Like, the same song was twice in a row, like back-to-back scenes, and it would start from the beginning each time. They could have started from the middle, maybe, but it was like, "Hello, darkness," and then the very next scene would be like, "Hello, darkness, my," you know what I mean? It's just like
if you
stop restarting it.
Yeah. It's like they just rewound the tape.
Yes.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was like literally there was one where it was I have a little bit of hyperbole in this, but there was one where it was literally the next scene that there was like two lines of dialogue, and it played the same song from the beginning again, and it was like another 2-minute sequence. I was happy with the sequence. I was happy with the visuals, but the song itself, man, my eyes were rolling.
That was when he was coming and moving to her college, right?
Yeah, in the car. Yeah, that second time when he's in the car driving across that road.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's the second time it played the song within a couple minutes, and I was like, this is not a good choice. But that's my preference. Again,
It could have been worse.
Zach-
It could have not been Simon and Garfunkel. It could have been.
That's
not
true. It
great
could have been
artists.
like, yeah, terrible.
Doja Cat.
Yeah.
At least these are now legendary figures
Yeah,
in the music industry.
Imagine if we did this now. Yeah, it would be like Charlie D'Amelio
Yeah.
music, 3 songs.
Thank you. Next.
I wanted to pick someone who is like not really a music artist, but probably I don't even know. if
Addison
she's-
Rae.
Addison Rae. Yeah, like we're picking like 3 of her songs and just playing them over and over again. in the
Sabrina
movie.
Carpenter.
Yeah,
I mean, she came from Disney Channel.
yeah.
Hmm.
Other least favorite. I mean, the ending is definitely like from the viewpoint that I didn't really want Elaine to get married to that random guy, but I do think like that's not very realistic. Him like screaming, it's not a good look. I don't know. It's just like, and it doesn't feel like that's the reaction that she would have had.
Yeah.
So
That's
you
good.
get a little bit of that adrenaline rush of like escaping your own wedding,
Yeah.
but that's also sad. That's how you feel. But that's how the movie makes you feel. Like it's just it makes sense within the context of the movie, even if you're describing it outside the movie and you're like, why would I like feel like that? That's not the feeling I would have had. Someone came to my wedding and was like screaming. I'd be like, get out of here.
It doesn't
Well.
frame it at all to make you feel bad for the guy she's running away from.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I
No,
don't
he's
like
like the
it.
bad guy.
yeah.
That's why I don't like it. Yeah.
He was only nice to her throughout the whole
Yeah.
thing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's all my final thoughts on the film. Do we
That's-
want to get
that's
into movie highlights?
Sure.
All
Yeah.
right, let's do it.
I can start because
Yeah,
I already have
'cause
mine pulled up.
I got to get mine open.
So I watched this on Last Resort Network. First classic movie review. We're going to try to do one every week. Is Odd Man Out, Carol Reed movie from 1947. If you're unfamiliar with Carol Reed, very important British filmmaker, and Odd Man Out was in the middle of one of his biggest runs of movies that he made. His most famous movie is probably The Third Man, which has Orson Welles in it. And then for the next one, I'll be doing The Cat O' Nine Tails, which is a Dario Argento movie from 1971. I'm a big Argento fan, so I'm excited to get into this, even if it's a little less horror than I had anticipated. Shiver Me Timbers, another IP Popeye movie. It's so stupid and dumb, but it didn't really have a plot, which was good. I think for those movies, it serves them well to not have that much of a plot. Watched The Long Walk. Zach and I will talk about that. Downton Abbey, the grand finale. Zach and I will talk about that as well. And then I watched Sing Sing, which is a pretty recent movie that was nominated for an Academy Award. Really powerful movie about primarily one guy falsely accused of murder who is trying to make a meaningful life for himself in prison while fighting his case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So I watched Peter Pan before we went to Disney, just for my little sister.
He took his little sister to Disney for her
Aw.
birthday.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And then I watched 2 movies that came out this year, and I was fine with both of them. I watched the Captain America Brave New World.
Blech.
Didn't think it was as bad as people had said.
That's the worst thing you could say.
The last 30 minutes of it kind of lost me once he becomes the Red Hulk. But the first hour and a half, I didn't think it was terrible.
Okay, let me ask you. Do you love Sam Wilson?
No, that's the part that is the least favorite by far.
The main character, you mean?
Yes.
The titular character.
Yes, and I don't think
Did he sacrifice anything?
No, he's had 0 character development over the course of Marvel.
Yeah.
But I think he had.
Should I watch it even if I haven't watched the TV show?
I didn't
Sorry,
watch the TV show.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
All right,
watched
I'll
it.
probably watch it.
I didn't think it was terrible. I think it was trying to be the Winter Soldier a little bit too much, where it feels like a espionage spy movie, especially at the beginning. At the end, it loses that, but at the beginning, and he doesn't end up losing anything, like you said. I mean, his friend ends up in the hospital, but he's fine.
Yeah.
But I watched that. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was as good as Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four.
Not even close.
No, but I didn't think it was nearly as bad as some of the movies Marvel has had recently.
That's
Might be a hot take, but
fair that it's not as bad as some of them.
I understood why it made how much money it made,
Yeah.
because it was decent enough to be, hey, let's go see that new Marvel,
Yeah.
but not great to make $1
friendship.
billion.
It's nuts. They say it's nuts.
And then Lilo and Stitch, I watched the live action remake. it was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was one of Disney's better live action remakes, which isn't saying much at all, to be honest.
We'll move on from the princesses. Start doing some other live actions like Lilo and Stitch.
Yes, yeah. And Lilo and Stitch, I didn't mind because it's a movie that came out 20 years ago, whereas like Moana is, like 8 years ago, and they're already doing it.
Yep.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem I watched on the plane ride back. I really like the animation. I'm a sucker for unique animation, which a lot of things are now unique animation, so it's becoming less and less, but still.
Yeah.
I love expressive animation where it's not trying to look realistic like the Frozens and stuff like that, where it's holding a certain character shape. The characters don't look like people at all. It looks like a kid drew some of them.
Yeah.
Like their chin is on the side of their face, and they're but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it told a cool story, and the 4 voice actors were kids, and they had really good chemistry.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed them. I'm surprised I didn't watch it sooner.
There's another one in 2027, I think.
Yeah, that one I'm now excited for it.
Yeah.
It's in that, not as good as Spider-Verse, obviously. It's in that category for me.
That's Sony Animation too.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
where it's excellent animation.
Yeah.
And then The Graduate.
Yep.
And that was mine. Week.
And Shark Side of the Moon.
Oh yes, Shark Side of the Moon. We watched last night on Tubi.
Yep.
Good old Tubi.
I did fall asleep, and I remember Zach telling me what happened at the end of it, but I did forget.
Okay, well let me just tell you, because this is my most recent one. So, Shark Side of the Moon, just 10-second synopsis. There are sharks on the moon because the Russians put them there. They wanted to conquer the moon, so they put sharks on it that are half man, half shark. And American astronauts go up there, find the Russians and the sharks as well, and are terrorized by the sharks. Come to find out that one of the Russians was stuck on the moon for like 40 years and had a kid with one of the sharks. And there's a half human, half shark man. And at the end of the movie, she has shark babies, and the shark babies surround the main characters, and that's how the movie ends.
Oh, really? It's like a cliffhanger?
Yeah.
That's
lazy.
crazy. I might have to watch Shark Side of the Moon. We were just commenting how many like low budget shark movies there are. It's literally in the hundreds.
Yeah.
If not the thousands.
Yeah. So since last time we spoke, I have seen Downton Abbey, the grand finale, Strangers Chapter 1, Kill Bill Volume 2, The Strangers Pray at Night. I'm preparing to see The Strangers Chapter 2 this Saturday. The Long Walk with You. And when you say that we're going to talk about Downton Abbey, the grand finale, and The Long Walk, these are things that we'll talk about in our new segment called, remind me what it's called. The Vault Unlocked.
I was going to say you named it, so I don't remember what it was.
The Vault Unlocked, which is about our new movies. We think at the Movie Vault we've had a lot of time to really delve into the past. We've spent probably the last 2.5 to 3 years diving into really good movies from the past. And we've missed some good opportunities for new movies, I think. We've done Oppenheimer. We've done some Marvel
we've done
movies
Barbarian.
Here and there. Yeah.
We've done...
But hey, it kind of paid off because Zach Cregger's Weapons was awesome.
That's true.
It kind of paid off.
We watched Don't Worry, Darling. Remember that?
Okay, yeah.
That's what... We messed up because we picked some bad ones, and we kind of got turned off from watching new movies, but now we're back on. We're
Olivia
back on
Wilde's
the train.
coming out with another one. So, listen, we're going to talk about these new ones because we are kind of... And it's a good time to do it. We are in a season where I think the movies are going to kick butt.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do, after One Battle After Another, we're in for the rest of the year some great films.
It's a good time to be.
And if
Stubbs
One Battle
A-list.
After Another does really well, that means we can get more movies like One Battle After Another.
Yes.
Which I'm excited
And
about.
should we say that we are going to...
Oh, yeah. Next episode, we will be taking a pause from our series, and we will be reviewing One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson
We could
movie,
not resist it.
starring Leonardo DiCaprio. We have our tickets booked for next Monday. We couldn't see it the opening day, but we'll see it opening weekend-ish, and we'll get that episode out to you as ASAP.
We got to talk to your scheduler at the hospital to schedule you around big movies coming out.
Yeah, that's so true. But I'm also out of town the weekend of October 10th, which so many movies are coming out.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
Oh,
but
man.
I will be happy in Maine, but I will be sad that I won't be
Yeah.
watching. I'll be like, wow, God's beautiful creation is so amazing. I wish I was watching a movie out.
Well, his creating creations are also beautiful sometimes.
Yeah, true.
You have to balance it, though, because sometimes you need to take a walk outside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Other
after so
times
many
there's
films.
movies like this where it's not reflecting much of
Sure.
God in it.
Yeah. Or yeah, you could walk outside and see the same thing. Well,
Yeah.
that's on my street. So yeah, I've honestly I watched another one I haven't reviewed yet is The Fountain by
Oh, yeah.
Aronofsky. I'm about halfway done with his filmography. I have 4 films left. I'll probably do a ranking.
Sweet.
If you guys want to partake in that a little bit with just your thoughts on some of the ones you've seen of him. But I think I'll do Zach's ranking of
Yeah.
Aronofsky.
That'd be awesome.
So I really like Aronofsky. I think he's cool.
He's a good director, and
He's cool.
we will be getting to one of his movies here with our last, the one that we haven't done in Seven Deadly Sins is Gluttony, and that will be The Whale, which
I
is
didn't even
Darren
consider that.
Aronofsky
Yeah, I didn't even consider
movie. So
that. I've already seen that one. That one might be pushed back a little bit depending on when we can get this guest. We're in no rush.
yeah, we are in no rush. If
Yes.
we have to go through 7 more arcs, and we'll finish this arc because we want this guest that bad. So
Yeah.
so no worries about that.
Yes. And it's not like someone famous. It's just someone we care about. So this is the end of it. This is the end of the episode. We're graduating from The Graduate.
All right, we'll close the vault.
Oh wait, what about your shirt? What does that say?
Oh, yes. I'm being a bad steward of our sponsorship. So, Point A Insurance is a newly rebranded company, but it's the same company
Don't worry.
as Hedman Anglin Agency was. Point A exists to bring you the best benefits that you possibly have for your car, so your auto, home, or business insurance. Specifically, if you own a small business, we have lots of interesting products to talk to you about with a variety of different companies that we work with. And I'm saying we because recently I have become licensed as an insurance agent, so I am working part-time on a part-time capacity with Point A. So I'm very excited about that.
We are so proud of Ben for doing dual career, bivocational nurse and insurance agent. Only Ben is crazy enough to do something like that. We're very proud of him here at the movie.
I would
Vault.
love to be tri-vocational and also be,
Movie critic.
movie critic as well, but that's still in the amateur range at this point.
Yeah.
But we're excited about this partnership with Point A because we really think that it could be mutually beneficial for both Last Resort Network and the Movie Vault and Point A. So if you do need if you just haven't looked at your auto insurance in a while, it might be worth just having us quote it. So call us at 614-486-7300.
That's 614-486-7300.
Or you can email me personally at bstanhope@pointains.com. So that's bstanhope@pointains.com. And I will say I'm working part-time, but my father-in-law, Jonathan, who owns the company, if you catch me at a bad time, if I'm at the hospital, it'll be forwarded over to Jonathan. He'll take care of it, so have no worries. Everyone who works with us, our office assistant, Bridget, everyone is great.
They're wonderful. Trust me, I've had the most claims there out of anyone. That might not be true, but I've been with the amount of time I've been with them, 6 months, and I've had 6 claims. We've been through a lot of cars and a lot of things that have gone on. And Jonathan and Bridget, and now Ben, mainly Jonathan and Bridget before you were on, were very helpful to us, just helping us figure out. I mean, I was able to call and just ask questions. I didn't have to talk to a robot. That was really worth the money within itself. And they saved us money. Like, that's the best part. Like, it seems more friendly, and it actually, saves you money. So it kind of just, to me, seems like, hey, do you want to watch One Battle After Another or The Graduate? Oh, by the way, it's less money to see One Battle After Another. Yeah, go see it. Get this insurance. Go buy it.
What a metaphor.
Yeah.
You can also visit us at pointainsurance.com, and there'll be a variety of ways to look at things. Also have an option for life insurance as well if that's something you want to look at. There's a variety of different companies that we quote through there as well. Would just love to talk to you through everything. Insurance is not always something that people are excited to talk about, but it's one of those things in life that at one point or another you're going to have to talk about. So hopefully you can talk about it with some friendly faces.
Yeah. What's the catchphrase?
I always freeze up when it comes to the
Wait, go back to the website.
Your success, our mission. It's that.
Yeah.
Your success, our mission.
The listener, the viewer, success, Point A's mission.
Yes.
Wonderful. What a wonderful tagline.
There you go.
Your success.
Close the vault.
Our mission.
Close the vault, gentlemen.
Close the fault. That's an earthquake. Okay. Hello, darkness, my old friend. That was good.